Good morning to you all. I'm very glad to meet all of you once again. God gave us another wonderful Sunday morning. How was your last week? I hope everything is fine and well in your life by grace of God. Since last time I started this book of the book of Exodus, and start from the chapter 1 and then chapter 2, and then today I'd like to talk about chapter 3. How was the book of Exodus chapter 1 and 2? Is it graceful to you? To me, it was so much graceful to me because I able to see the clear the heart of God and clear the will of God upon my life and for this country too. So even for this morning, I'm very glad to open the book of Exodus chapter 3 with you. Let's open the Exodus chapter 3 from verse 1. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the back of the desert and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire from the midst of a bush. So he looked, and behold, the bush was burning with fire, but the bush was not consumed. Then Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush does not burn. So when the Lord saw that he turned aside to look, God called to him from the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, Do not draw near this place. Take your sandals off your feet. For the place where you stand is holy ground. Moreover, he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the oppressions of my people who are in Egypt, and have heard their cry because of their taskmasters. For I know their sorrows. So I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptian, and to bring them up from the land to a good and large land, to a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel has come to me, and I have also seen the oppressions with which the Egyptians oppressed them. Come now, therefore, and I will send you to Pharaoh, that you may bring my people, the children of Israel, out of the Egypt. But Moses said to God, Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh, and that I should bring the children of Israel out of Egypt? So he said, I will certainly be with you, and this shall be a sign to you that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve God on this mountain. Then Moses said to God, Indeed, when I come to the children of Israel and say to them, The God of your fathers has sent me to you, and they say to me, What is his name? What shall I say to them? And God said to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, Thus You shall say to the children of Israel, I am has sent me to you. Moreover, God said to Moses, thus you shall say to the children of Israel, the Lord God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial to all generations. Go and gather the elders of Israel together, and say to them, the Lord God of your father, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob, appeared to me, saying, I have surely visited you and seen what is done to you in Egypt. And I have said, I will bring you up out of the afflictions of Egypt to the land of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, to a land flowing with milk and honey. Then they will heed your voice, and you shall come, and you and the elders of Israel, to the king of Egypt, and you shall say to him, the Lord God of Hebrews has met with us, and now, please, let us go 3 days' journeys into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God. But I am sure that the kings of Egypt will not let you go. No, not even by a mighty hand. So I will stretch out my hand and strike Egypt with all my wonders, which I will do in its midst. And after that he will let you go. And I will give these people favor in the sight of the Egyptian. And it shall be when you go that you shall not go empty-handed, but every woman shall ask of her neighbor, namely of her who dwell near her house, articles of silver, articles of gold, and clothing, and you shall put them on your sons and on your daughters. So you shall plunder the Egyptians. Okay, I read up to the end, verse 22. Good morning to you all once again. We just read the book of Exodus chapter 3. As we read together, it is since Moses came to the land of Midian, and 40 years passed, and now it is time for God to appear before Moses. Why does God like to take the time from the Moses for 40 years, as I was explained to you last time? Like since Moses saved by God, and then he was growing up in the place of the kingdom of Egypt. In the royal family side, yes, he had everything. He learned all the Egyptian language. He learned all the knowledge and theory in Egypt while he was staying in Egypt, together with the pharaoh and princess, But since that moment, Moses started to trust himself and believe himself. And because of that, we are able to see, he going to help his people, and through it, we are able to see he killed even one Egyptian. Because of that happened to him, he decided to run away from the hand of king in Egypt, and decided to run away from the Egypt, departed from the Egypt. And he went to Midian. Yes. And since he went to Midian and 40 years passed, what I'm able to see from here is, yes, truly, God was walking to Moses to brought down his heart, make him to do not trust himself. Uh, even for 40 years in the land of Midian. You know, and then after God brought down the Moses' heart, and then he liked to meet the Moses to do his will. That is a time God wanted to meet Moses. You know, what I able to see is the Israelite was suffer even before that. For a long time ago, Israelite was cry unto the Lord because of the suffering they had. But the surprising thing is, not immediately God is saving them. At first, I able to see God choose Moses and growing up the Moses, and I able to see God make the Moses to have the special heart which he must have it before God. That's why we are even in the book of Exodus chapter 3 today. You know, from chapter 2 we are able to see, because of the moment he trusts himself, he cannot but depart from the Egypt. And then he entered to the land of Midian now. Yes. And when he, 40 years, that is not a short period actually. For 40 years, think about what God was taught him. What does God wanted to do to him for 40 years? To do his will, there is a heart God wanted to teach him. That is, do not believe yourself. Yes. So, although it is for a long period, but God took 40 years from the Moses. Do you remember, in case of Abraham, until he believed in God, believed the promise of God, God also spent, God took so many years from the Abraham too. Likewise, in here, I am able to see that God is training the Moses. God like to put some certain heart into his mind so that he like to do all his will. Yes. So he took 40 years. If you are looking at Psalms chapter 107, Psalm chapter 107, verse 10. Those who sat in darkness and in the shadow of death, bound in afflictions and irons, because they rebel against the word of God, and despise the counsel of the Most High. Bible said the reason why they are set in the darkness and in the shadow of the dead, bound in affliction and iron in their life, because they rebel against the word of God and despise the counsel of the Most High. Means they are not listening to the word of God. They are not yet ready to receive the word of God. So that's why in their life there is darkness and shadow of death, and bound in their mind is like bound in affliction and iron. So if you are looking at verse 12, therefore he brought down their heart with labor. Therefore what? God brought down, he brought down their heart, our heart, with labor. they fell down. Yes, if God brought down our heart with labor, then of course everyone fell down, isn't it? So they fell down, and there was no one to help. Can you see image of Moses from here? Yes, God was leading him in this way for him to be able to listen the word of God. Verse 13, then they cry out to the Lord in their trouble. And so finally, like there is no one who can help them. Finally, there is nothing. Finally, when there is no any other way, finally they cry unto the Lord in their trouble. And Bible says he saved them out of their distress. Yes. He brought them out of darkness and the shadow of death, and broke their chains in pieces. Oh, that man would give thanks to the Lord for his goodness. You know, just small thing. That is for us to listen word of God in our heart. God used to work to break down our heart with labor in our life and make us to fall down and make us to meet the circumstances no one can help us, and make us to have no any other way, and make us to look upon God only, and make us to listen his word fully and how just it is into our heart. So if we looking at verse Psalm chapter 107, well, I'd like to see this part with you. Verse okay. Let's read from the where we was just we led up to verse 14, right? Okay, let me read from verse 12 again. Therefore he brought down their heart with labor. They fell down, and there was none to help. Then they cried out to the Lord in their trouble, and he saved them out of their distress. He brought them out of darkness and shadow of death, and broke their chains in pieces. Verse 15, oh, that man would give thanks to the Lord for his goodness, and for his wonderful work to the children of men. For he has broken the gate of bronze, and cut the bars of iron into fools because of their transgressions, and because of their iniquities were afflicted. Their souls abhorred all the manner of food, and they drew near to the gate of death. Then they cried out to the Lord in their trouble, and he saved them out of their distress. He sent his word and healed them, and delivered them from their destructions. Oh, that man would give thanks to the Lord for his goodness, and for his wonderful work to the children of men. You know, if we led up to here, we are able to see the same story repeat like 2 times. You know, the first part is from verse 10 to, I think from verse 10 to 15 and 16 up to 16, and then another part is the same story, but from verse 17, right, to the 21. Like Bible telling us how we are not listen the word of God, and so that how God although so many difficulty and then problem in our life, and then because of that, people are set in the darkness and shadow of death, and bind in afflictions and iron, and for God to save them, God brought down their heart with labor and make them to cry, look upon God, and we are able to see God save them. But from verse, like the second part, if you are looking at the second part, like we are able to see more detail how God wanted to save us. That is like verse 19. Then they cried out to the Lord in their trouble, and he saved them out of their distress. He sent, verse 20, he sent his word and healed them. Yes, this is the way how God saved us finally. He sent his word and healed them. Likewise, in book of Exodus chapter 2 today, yes, God is, chapter 3, God said, God wanted to save all the Israelites from the Egypt. That is the will, what he liked to do through the Moses. But at first, God wanted to lead and change Moses' heart. So I told you that God took 40 years from the Moses, and then now God started to speaking unto him. Means for 40 years, with labor in his life, God brought down his heart. And now God is speaking unto him now. When Moses went to, let's look at verse 1. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. And he led the flock to the back of the desert and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. Yes, he went to the Horeb, the mountain Horeb. And verse 2, and the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire from the midst of a bush. So he looked, and behold, the bush was burning with fire, but the bush was not consumed. When he went, just like another day, to take care about his flock, he went to the mountain Horeb. Is a place I believe he used to be, and he have experiences already. But that today, the time when he went, he saw something miracle in that mountain. That is, he saw the bush, but that is not just ordinary bush, but it was bush, burning bush. Yes. And then he was surprised because any bush, if there is a fire, easily consume everything very fast. Very fastly, the bush used to consume by fire, but what he able to see is what he was surprised. The bush was still stand and still, not consumed. He was so surprised. And verse 3 said, then Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush does not burn. Moses also, curious to know about. Yeah, this is great sight. This is great things, which I never ever see in my life before. But why the bush does not burn? Because there is a fire. Why bush is not burned, not consumed, still stand before me? I don't understand. This is the first sign God showed unto Moses. And I believe God like to teaching to the Moses now, from now on, why a bush does not burn and consume, which is supposed to be burned and consumed, but it's not burned and consumed. I believe from now on, God like to have fellowship with Moses to teach him why it's like that. And let's look at verse 4. So when the Lord saw that he turned aside to look, God called to him from the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, here I am. Then he said, this is the first, calling. After God showed, the first sign unto him. And then there is a word from the God, calling his name, Moses, Moses. He said, here I am. Verse 5, then he said, do not draw near this place. Take your sandals off your feet, for the place where you stand is holy ground. Yes. God spoke to the Moses that, do not draw near this place. Take your sandals off your feet, for the place where you stand is holy ground. The place where you stand is a holy ground. So, even the bush does not burn, does not consume. This is the holy ground where I'm walking, where I am. So, even the bush, which must be consumed quickly, must be burned fastly, will not burn and consume. That is the place where you are standing now. So remove your sandal. What is the meaning of this, our brothers and sisters? I believe this is what exactly God like to teaching to the Moses. This is the holy ground where I am and where I'm walking now. For you to be here, to you to be stand in here and walk with me, you have to remove your sandal. What is the meaning of that? The sandals, the shoes, people they made it for to protect their feet, because with that shoes they wanted to walk as long as possible. And also, as they are protecting their feet, and then they like to go into so many ways, and they like to do so many walk. Usually when we get into home, we used to remove our shoes and sandals because it is resting place, because it is the place that is a place is not walking. So there is a time only when we remove our sandal, that is the time when we get home and when we take rest. Yes. Likewise, God wanted to remove the sandal of Moses because God doesn't need any effort from Moses, because God doesn't need any method, any experiences, any knowledge from the Moses. God doesn't want that Moses supposed to work for him. But he liked to work. He liked to protect Moses. He liked to work for the Moses. He liked to lead Moses to be less in his life. So that's why he said, remove your sandal. For us, we like to walk wherever we go, whatever we do. I can say that we doesn't know how to be less, how to take less. You know, so wherever we go and whatever we do, always we are looking for to do something. But in here, what God like to teaching us, how we able to be less. You know, likewise, I believe that by the same way, God is teaching us how to be able to be less in Him. And God is teaching us how God is working and be with us. And God is teaching us why finally like the sign God showed to the Moses, I believe God even like to show that sign unto us. Why? Teaching us why this bush are not burned and not consumed. You know, because as I told you, that is holy ground where God is holding that bush. Think about the bush it himself. Bush is kinds of the tree, but one of the weak. And the bush in this wilderness, like usually they growing up, these kinds of tree growing up less than 2 meters only. And how can I call? From the root, the bush root it himself, like the stems are coming out like different way. Not from the one stem, but from the different. So we cannot distinguish whether this is a branch or the stem. So it seems like many branches, and it's most weak and most like the plant, I believe, in the world. And there are many thorns. So that is not the place even any animal can be left. Because whenever any animal like to be on there, because of thorns, you know, they pinch them, and then they cannot last. That useless bush, that useless bush tree, God is holding it, even where there is a fire. And God protect that bush and walk with that bush. The same way, this is how God wanted to walk with Moses today. This is the way how God wanted to walk with us today. After this, God is telling to everything what He liked to do through the Moses. To the Moses. You have to go to the Pharaoh and tell them that you are coming from me. You know, and they will listen from you. And gather all the elder, and then, together you have to go to the Pharaoh and then tell him that we like to go into the wilderness for a few days to serve our Lord. But you know what? The Pharaoh, he will not let you go easily. But after I great work upon the Egypt, and finally he allow you to go. He allow you and then all the Israelites to go. Likewise, God is telling all what He like to do, all His will unto the Moses. Yes. You know, although, you know, Moses in the beginning doesn't believe that, and then he used to say in this way, like when God spoke all those kinds of things, he said that, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and that I should bring the children of Israel out of Egypt? Yes. Moses now is only looking at himself. He's looking at how he is and how he like bush it himself. As I told you, as I described the bush, if you are looking at the bush, nothing is good. Dwell in there. There is a thorns are many, and even it's not the place any animal can be left. And we cannot distinguish what is the branch and the stem on that tree. And it's, you know, one of the most weak trees in the world, especially by fire, from the fire. Yes. When Moses looking at himself, he can see only those kinds of conditions. So he cannot proceed in this kinds of way. But what God like to say and what God like to do with Moses, and the reason why God show, you know, the sign of the burning bush, because he wanted to do his will through the Moses. Yes, Moses, yes, you are like bush, but looking at where is the bush now? It's in the holy ground. Where I'm walking and where I am now, I'm holding it. So the bush was not burned and consumed. Likewise, you have to be less. There is no work you have to do. You just go there and then speak onto the parrot. Then less, any other work, the less work I will do for you. I will do like this, and then he will say like this, but don't worry, finally it will be done like this. You know, how it is wonderful work, wonderful life. How it is so much joyfulness and happy life it is. Because, you know, the way how God wanted to lead Moses, he can see all the pictures already. Means you have to walk in the way which is where there is assurance. Because, you know, in our life, although we took so many ways for ourselves, but there are many ways we took where there is no assurance for our pictures. But look at how God is leading the Moses now. Don't you think that is wonderful? Yes, it is. So, likewise, this is the way how God wanted to lead Moses now. By the same way, I believe this is a way how God wanted to lead all of us today. God wanted to save so many people even through us, from us. But easily we like to say like Moses unto the God, who am I that I should go to Gambia, and that I should bring the Gambians out of their sins. Maybe pastor will preach, but not me. Maybe this brother, maybe this sister, he speak well, but for me, I don't know how to speak. I don't know how to preach. That is my problem. Sometimes even it's difficult for me to read in the Bible. You know, this is the excuse what we like to say before God. But our brothers and sisters and loving folks, let's look at the Bible. What is the heart of God upon us? What is the will of God upon Moses and for this country now? He already decided to save his people from this land. Likewise, God already decided to save so many people from the land of Gambia through the people like us. And before that, God wanted to give some certain heart into your heart. God liked to show burning bush before you and let you know the reason why the bush is burning but it's not burned and it's not consumed. You understand me? You know, as I told you last time, God make us, God make me to also, God taught me so many things about in my life. You know, what I wanted to talk to you is, as I gave my salvation testimony last time, yes, you know, when I remember my past, I'm not the one even who have religion and believe in God. I'm the one who used to say, the people are weak and lack. That's why they are looking for the religion and like to rely on God. If they are strong, they don't need to looking for rely on somewhere and believe in God. It's okay to believe in themselves. That was who I am. But the life, how it goes before, you know, it was so miserable. I never thought about those kinds of life before in my life. As I told you, my mother started to gamble and lost so many money. And we sold our house finally. And then even my mom depart from the house and run away from me too. I don't know why this kind of stuff happened to me. But as I told you, there's a time God like to brought down the people's heart for them to hear the word of God. I believe that moment God brought down my heart for me to hear His word of God. God brought down my heart and then for me to do not believe who I am. Because, you know, we never thought about ourselves like bush. We don't like to acknowledge like we are like bush. You know, we always like to believe ourselves we are a sincere person and we are, although, yes, there are some weak and lack, but I'm trying. And then, you know, I'm the one who always do best. And then with this kind of mind, we believe that we can be success. We used to like to follow these kinds of heart. I heard that every day human beings, they used to have 50,000 number of the thought in their mind in a day. Then most of the mind, most of the thought they have among the 50,000, most of the thought is negative side, 80% of their thought. And just few of their thought is the positive side. And you know, what kinds of thought I most listen in my life? I believe those kinds of thoughts protect me and change my life and leading my life as beautifully. But what I'm able to see is, as I explained to you about my family story, my life, my story before, you know, at that moment truly I don't know what to do. But I can tell you that God used to walk into my life time to time in this way. Whenever my heart is going too high, God always make my heart to brought down. Even when I went to Nigeria as short-term missionary, you know, truly at that moment, I don't know how to speak English. Whenever I went out for witness for this gospel, people say, go back to your country. You don't know how to speak English. Go back and learn more and come back. Then I will listen from you. Many people say like that. And, you know, even like whenever I have fellowship with somebody, I don't know why, but that somebody always close their heart before the church and before me. And then some people say, because of you, I don't want to go to church. Some people say, because of you, my heart is so difficult. I really wanted to cry. I thought I preach word, and I preach word from the church, but that was the result, what I used to see. I really wanted to cry. I don't know what to do. Seems like wherever I go, whatever I touch, everything becomes curse. There's a time I have to go into the Ghana by land from Nigeria to the Ghana. Even on the way I'm going, the thief it's not a thief, how can I call? Can I say it's kinds of thief? Anyway, he stole my passport in my bag. And I didn't know that. When I arrived in the, Togo and Ghana border, I realized that, he stole my passport. Not only me, with my colleague passport together, because I holding it together. I really wanted to cry. I don't know why this kind of happiness only up to me. Even when I came to Gambia, whenever I went to Nigeria, and then, when I was trying to live for my life before, and then even when I came to Gambia, always I have mind like, okay, let's preach in the gospel. I have good mind in me. Okay, let me preach in the gospel. Let me live for the gospel. And let me, live sincerely. Let me try. Let me try to do my best. As I'm following those kinds of heart, I didn't know that those kinds of heart make me to trust myself and make me to do not looking at God. So I suffer so many times in my life. When I came to the Gambia also, like, I didn't know the majority of the Gambia, they are Muslim even. But because of our church sent me to this country, so I came. And whenever I preach in the gospel, there are the many difficulties I met. One day we have Bible seminar. The surprising thing is no one came. I remember I and my wife, we was crying a lot at that moment. There is a time I gathered some people, even I went to the Ghana, and together with them, we went to Ghana and then we returned back. Then all they depart, and no one remained in the church. It seems like, God removed all the strength and all my ability and method, what I able to do from my heart. God really made me to cry before Him. But I believe there is one thing, there is reason why He liked to do this kinds of thing. Because God wanted to teach me that you are bush. You are nothing different like bush. You are the bush easily consumed, easily burned by difficulties. In you there is thorns are many, so no one can rest under you. No one can be close with you. And in you, just like there's no clear way of whether this is a stem or branch. Likewise, you are like that. You are living like that. I don't want to acknowledge about myself. It's like that, but that is true. That is how I am. I never thought about I'm the one who can against church. I never thought about I'm the one who can abandon the word of God, who can abandon this gospel. I always wanted to say, yeah, I'm the one who preaching the gospel. I always wanted to say, I'm the one who living for the gospel. But when I looking at the Bible, what God always teach me is, no, you are not. You are exactly like bush. That's why I like to walk. I wanted to protect you. I wanted to walk with you. I wanted to be with you. You know, this is the heart of God. God truly teaching us what He like to do in our life. And then He even already showing to us through the Bible about what He like to do. You know, in here, God showed everything how He wanted to save all the Israelites from the Egypt. Through the even people like Moses, like Bush. Likewise, I believe we are not much different. I wanted to say we are exactly the same like Moses and like Bush today. But let's looking at will of God, the heart of God, how He wanted to do with us. Don't you see that true love in this story? Don't you see true hope and true pictures in this story upon us? Yes, God really wanted to make us to be less. God wanted to remove our sandal from our heart. And God wanted to make us to be stand in the holy place where God is and where God is working. So that wherever we go, whatever we do, we may see how God is working in our life. You know, how it is thankful things unto the Lord. Because we are in the Gambia today. We are under the will of God and heart of God today. You know, it is possible there are people, those are difficult because of this religion and the other religion. Maybe some people are difficult because of, you know, the coronavirus in this day. But when I'm looking at the heart of God, how He wanted to talk with the Moses today, I feel like this is the way, exactly the same way how God wanted to speaking to us in this morning. Speaking to all our brothers and sisters. So that let do not be only in the life of the Egypt. Let do not be only in the life of themselves. But let them to look upon God, look upon Moses, and look upon this church. And let, you know, able to remove all their standard and join together in this place and walk together with God and see together what God like to do in this place. You know, the will of God is to save all the Israelites from the Egypt. Likewise, will of God is save so many peoples from their sins in this country. So that so many people, I believe all the Gambians in this country and all of the world may see what God like to do in this country. And make them to know, they may know who is God and how He's working with us. What we need to do is only God telling us everything unto us already today. Just take step forward and deliver the word while we was here. what you was listen and just translate for it. Just deliver that word how it is unto the peoples. Then those ever listen, may God walk, in them. And may God walk in their life. Our brothers and sisters, look at how we are blessed. Like Moses today. Moses said, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh, and that I should bring the children of Israel out of Egypt?" That is verse 11. But do you remember what verse 12, how God responded unto Moses for that? So he said, "I will certainly be with you." I will what? Certainly be with you. God is telling to us, I will certainly be with all of you. And this shall be a sign to you that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve God on this mountain. When I meditate Exodus chapter 3, my heart was so much thankful to God. My heart was so much graceful unto the Lord. God talked about all the plan about what He liked to do with Israelite unto the Moses. How it is easy. How it is joyful life it is. Don't you think that truly this is a life like lasting life? Because He knew already what will be happen all. Then, what does He need to do? Just be less. Become and be less. Likewise, all our brothers and sisters. What is the reason why God saved us? What is the reason why God committed us into this church? Because through you, God wanted to save so many people in this country. Through you, God liked to deliver His word of God unto the peoples. And all the people shall know who is God and how God is working in this country. Then I believe everyone will pray about God, and everyone will give glory unto the Lord into their life. In here, it is so amazing whenever I look in it. The time when Moses met burning bush. Even when he looking at it, he said, "Great sight. See this great sight." Because he never see it. Why the bush does not burn? Why bush does not burn? God said, "Do not draw near this place. Take your sandals off your feet. For the place where you stand is holy ground." Amen. Brothers and sisters, and lovely folks, are you saved? Did you receive salvation? Then you are the temple of God. Then you are the holy place. Please take off your sandal today. Thank you so much. I'm finished until here.